Alright, in this video we're going to use the clone tool and learn how to use this very helpful tool. It looks like a little stamp. And what the clone tool does, it allows you to paint your picture with not colors, but other parts of your image. So for example, in this example, we're going to remove some of these other objects laying in the grass here by cloning other parts of the image, the grass, on top of it. Now, when you use the clone tool, by default, or the first time you click on it, it's going to give you a little kind of X over the pointer, meaning you can't click anywhere. Because what you have to do first is hold down the control key and tell it where you want to paint from, the source of your painting. So I'm just going to click down here, and now when I paint, you notice that it just moved, and you can see the arrow at the bottom of the screen moving as well, and it's just cloning or copying the image from here up to here. Now, just a couple pointers. When you use this tool, number one, the size of the brush is going to make a difference. So you can use those square brackets to shrink it in or enlarge it. Depends on the shape you're trying to clone. If you're just, doing a very small area, you may just want to use a very small brush. Like through up in here, you can use a very small brush. The other thing is the shape of the brush. You want to use a feathered brush when cloning most of the time. There's a few times where I may use the hard edge brush, but for the most part you want to use this feathered soft edge brush because it simply allows it to blend better with the rest of the picture. Now, another option to be aware of is when you're cloning, the source, when you paint and let go, it goes back to where it started. So if I let go and come up here, it's always going to be right here. Now there is an option here called alignment that if I check aligned, notice now, and let me reselect a new area. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it moves with the cursor. So if I come over here, I'm now cloning the area down below, a couple inches and over to the left there. So you can see how it gives dirt up there. So sometimes you want to move it with the cursor. Sometimes you want to leave it always in the original location. So I'll just say none there, and that puts it back. So every time I let go of the cursor or the mouse, it goes back to where it started. So be aware of that, and I can just quickly draw over something. Now notice how it stopped painting because my source hit the edge of my photo. If that happens, just let go, let it pop back to where it started, and then paint again. And it is possible for people to see the patterns repeat, so you have to be careful. Grass is pretty easy. Water, oceans, sand on beaches, things like that are pretty easy to clone. I'm going to give you an example here in a moment of something that's a lot more difficult to clone. So very quickly you can remove objects that you don't want to appear. Maybe it's a tourist in your photograph when you're traveling and you want to remove that tourist out of the picture, or just something that wasn't supposed to be there. You can also be creative. I'm going to control click his head, and so you could paint the head of the turtle back into the picture. You can be creative and maybe give him another leg over here. So you can be very creative. Obviously this gives you a realization that you can't believe everything you see in a photograph because it's so easy to make changes. Let me show you real quickly. Photographing or photoshopping grass and cloning grass is pretty easy. Let me show you an image that I had the students work on last year in my media productions class. And this is an image of San Francisco, and their job was to remove the power lines from this photo. And as you can see that, sure, over here, it's not so difficult to do with the trees, but getting across the street here, and surprisingly, this area caused them a lot of problem. Let me zoom in a little bit, because the colors change so much from from here just to here. You lose maybe the lines of the siding. It gets very difficult to take objects that must be perfectly lined up and remove them. So sometimes you have to do much more difficult jobs of cloning, like this. And there's a lot of examples where it may take you a very long time to actually remove. You can remove the little yield sign here. Oop, I'm getting the S there. And sometimes finding the source here, right here, it's too dark. So sometimes you have to, clicking around to find an area of your image that is, going to match the surrounding pavement in this case, and that can take a while. And sometimes you have to brighten and make changes. That one's not too bad right there, but we lost the P. So maybe you need to go up here and get this P, but this P is in a darker area of the pavement. So you can see how a lot of times there's a lot of problems to overcome when cloning. But just remember, it's a little stamp here. It's the clone tool. You control click the area, and then from there you paint. Use a feathered brush to make sure it blends, and then sometimes you want to align, sometimes you do not, but just know how to use that that clone tool to remove objects in your image that you wish were not there.